as you can see on the screen, we are here for another session of our Technomatics virtual user group, which we call Community Conversations. I'm Taryn Blake, the Community Engagement Program Manager for our Siemens PLM community. And today our topic is energy simulation of transporters through battery management. So, as most of you probably know, our speaker for the tutorial today and usually is Mr. Stefan Bongso. Stefan has been in this space for several decades now. He has done hundreds of projects and training sessions, including more than 20 for us here for Technomatics. Stefan has published 5 books on plant simulation. He's working on a 6th book and is one of the leading contributors to our Siemens PLM community. There are 3 big steps to the tutorial for today. Going through number 1, going through basic attributes. Next, looking at battery charging strategies and options. And number 3 would be programming of the charging controls. Also, as usual, we are live. Stefan will be going through the software live with you today. I'll be monitoring the chat, and we'll also have a live Q&A at the end of the session. You can use the hand raise button that should be in the middle upper area of your screen at that time to raise a hand. We'll be happy to take you off of mute. So if you have a complex question, you don't feel like you have to type everything there. You can ask your question verbally, and we'll be happy to show that to you. So without any further delay, Stefan, feel free to take the screen and get started.
Hello together. My topic today is, okay, I have choose another headline, processing on HEVs. This is quite often now in the industry that you have HEVs and you produce on the HEVs. And so the HEVs cannot leave the production for charging the batteries. They need to do this in their working stations. And one of the big questions is, how many charging points do you need so that the HEVs doesn't run out of energy during the production? And if you are running the production for 3 shifts a day, then this is quite challenging to say, okay, we need 2, 3, 4, 5 charging points. And this is my example to show, okay, how do we model the energy consumption of transporters. Another way of energy consumption you find in the stations, in material flow elements like the station. There you have also the possibility to create power consumptions depend on the states of the object. For the transporter, it's quite the same. It depends on if you drive or if you are waiting with your transporter, then you have different energy consumptions. Okay, let's create an example here. First, I create a track. Like a round track here. We need to connect the end with the start of this track to have a closed loop. Okay, I have here too much start new. It's almost 1 click too much. Okay, create a round track. To create a curve, hold down the control key, and then you can create curves. And that's it. Okay. Connect the end with the start. Then I want to have 5 stations around this loop here. And the first setting I want to make is here, I want to switch on the names. And so I go to this, I duplicate one of the stations here. And then it's in user objects. I change the 3D properties. And I want to see the captions. And then I create stations with the name M1 from machine 1. M2. M3, M4, and M5. And for my station here, for my machines, I want to have a user-defined attribute is charging point to mark one of these positions as charging point in this round. And then we can play around with how many charging points we need, 1, 2, 3. And so I want to have in this station here a user-defined attribute with the name is charging point. And by default is false. So next I want to create one sensor control for all stations. And so I need some help for parameterizing this. And so I make a table file here. To connect a sensor ID with one of the stations here. And so it's can be very easy. I just need one column of type object. And if you don't mess up your sensor ID numbers, then it should be M1, M2, M3, M4, and M5. If we okay, this I need for parameterizing. This is just a connection between the sensor ID and the station behind. I create one method sensor control. And I want to create here stop positions for the HEV in front of this station. The station here in this example is only for collecting statistical data. I don't want to produce something here. I only want to enforce here this station for walking just for statistical reasons. And so I create sensors and assign the sensor control as control here. So we have a very basic setting. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And also for statistic, I want to have one source and one train, just to collect statistical data, how many parts I have produced during a certain period of time. And so I load at each round one part on the HEV and move at the end the part to the train. And for this, I need an entrance control here for the track. And so another method. And this is the entrance control of this track. So I hold down the shift key and drag this method on the track. And then you get this new icon on the method, and the method is entered here as an entrance control. Okay. Now some one basic setting here. Station should have a processing time of 45 seconds. So I make it in the class library, and this value will be inherited to all the stations. And I want to create an HEV, and I duplicate. I want to change the transport a little bit, so I duplicate one transporter, and I place one additional source here in my frame, tractor transporter on the source, and connect the source with the entrance of the track to create one HEV, 5 HEVs here. And so I change this from interval adjustable time of creation to a number adjustable in the source, and I want to create 5. So I have now my basic setting. First, in the track entrance control, I want to unload if there's one MU on the HEV. I unload this to a train and load a new one from the source. For a better adjustment or alignment of the MU on the HEV, I change the capacity of the HEV to 1. And then I need a small program. If the HEV is occupied, then at point current, point move to train. and source point cont point move. The HAV. Okay. So, and now I need to activate the battery in the transporter in the class library. And you find one tab battery here. It's by default is deactivated, and you need to activate this. And you see you have here a charge. This is the actual charge of the battery. You have a basic consumption. This is the consumption if the HEV is not driving, and you have a driving consumption. Then you have a reserve. If you come below the reserve, then the charge control is be called. And if the charge is 0, then your HAV just stops and doesn't move anymore. And so we can check this later. So you can use the time that you have between reserve and 0 to load your HEV. For instance, if you have certain loading places, then you can set a new destination and drive to this point where you can load the HEV. In our case here, we don't have such a certain special place to charge our HEV. We charge it directly on the place where it stops. And here we change the charge current to 5 ampere. And capacity is the maximum capacity of the battery. And it's load linear. You can change all the values we have here dynamically. If you want to have some curves, then you can create a method to change, for instance, the charge current dynamically to have a certain curve, or you make it depend on the temperature. Then you can change this depend on your temperature you have, and so on. All these values you can set dynamically with SimTalk. Okay, basic behavior is if you drive, then depend on the time, power will consume the transporter will consume power, and you need to care yourself about the charging of the battery. You need to do this inside the simulation. Okay. So activate here an M1. This should be our charging point. Activate here the user-defined attribute is charging point. Changes to true for this one, for station 1. And then we need to program our sensor control, and we need to stop here. Then we need to time the process time of this station and start again. And if this is a charging point, then we load our battery for this time. And so we need a small control, sensor control. First, I get the station from my table. This is my connection of the sensor number and the station behind. And then I stop the transporter. This is new in 2404. We can start the processing on a machine without having one MU on the machine with the method enforced processing. This is our attribute. If the station here is a charging point, then I need to start the charging of the battery. And in plan simulation, you do this with setting the attribute but charging to true. Then we wait for the process time of the station. And until now, this enforced processing doesn't consider the proc time of the station, and we need to end this processing with SimTorque, with station enforce. Enforced processing is false. And the same is with it's but charging. When we start moving from this charging point, the charging is done. And so we need to end the charging. With add but charging is false. And then we can start the HEV. If you want to consider the worker, and the worker has to come and maybe some failures and breaks and so on, then I would not model this with enforced processing. Then you could create a dummy part and move the dummy part to the station so that the station is really processing and call the worker and consider all the failures and breaks and so on. This is not the right way if you want to have a worker and other inferences in the simulation. Okay, let's have a look. So the first is coming. Now the time is running, and when the processing time is over, this HEV goes to the next station, and so on. And now run it fast, and then they stop. And now we can go here into this into the battery tab, and here the charge is 0, and then this transporter stops and does run anymore. So one charging point is not enough, because after 1 day and 3 hours, the battery charge is 0. To make it better observable, I want to show this battery status here on the transporter, and this we can do starting from version 2404. In the transporter, I want to have a new attribute. And for instance, charge. And I want to show the percentage of charge in relation to 100%. And this is a real number. And here's one option, show in 3D. I activate this. And here's a display. And I want to show this externally, so that, okay, and then you see, okay, there's here the, yes, you can see this here in the frame already, but I don't like this. And so I want to change this. And so I opened the transporter here in a new 3D frame. And it's too large here. I want to change this, the size. And this is own. Okay, it's 0.5, it's okay. I scale it a little bit. And then I can also change this. I move it a little bit so that is displayed here on the HEV. Press the Alt key, and then you can move the Z axis with the mouse. And so you can change the position and the scaling of this field here. Okay, let's try. Okay, looks better. And now we can observe the charge. I change my track entrance, my sensor control a little bit. And here I need to set this user-defined attribute. Add charge. I want to round it. Yes, and at point at charge is the recent battery charge. I need to divide it by the capacity of the battery. It's BET capacity. Multiplied by 100, and I want to round it on 2 digits. Okay, now when the transporter is starting, this attribute is updated, and we can see it here in our simulation. It's start with 100%. And then we can observe the state of the battery here, and you can see, okay, it's becomes less and less and less, and then it's over. And so we need more than one charging point. Maybe here at M3, I activate here my user-defined attribute, its charging point, the second one, and try it again. So again, it becomes less and less and less. It's not enough to charge the HEVs, and then you need the time. Okay, how long you need to run. Okay, it's not enough. After 2 days and 2 hours, the batteries are empty, and so I activate a third charging point. After 13 days, now the battery is over, it's empty. And so it's depends on your strategies. If you have after 1 week, for instance, a charging period where you charge all the HEVs with a mobile device, for instance, then it's maybe running with 3. And we also have not a lot of influences here in this small model. And if you insert all the influences you have with houses and with different processing times, it's really a complex task to validate the number of charging points. Okay, so that's it for this small example. Do you have any questions?
And we did get one set of applause also, Stefan. Yeah, so I see Amir just put a question there. I guess I can read it. Is it possible to use the plant simulation Python interface to develop custom methods for tasks such as sensor control?
Yes, you can access all the SimTalk methods you have, but it's really slow, and so you need to check if this is slow down your simulation. The Python interface is not made for replacing SimTalk here, but you can do this with Python. Yes.
That looks like you got a thank you there. That's good. But you should see on your screen right now a screenshot of the Plant Simulation Virtual User Group forums that we have. The URL, you can click on it right now, which will take you to that page. And this is where we'll post the recordings. All of the recordings of these sessions are posted at that URL. You are able to go there and you can see the screenshot is an animation of following the topic, which is the same as subscribing to the topic. You'd want to click the button that says follow and then the envelope icon and select every post. When you do that, you will receive a system email every time a new recording is posted, or when we post the registration links for these events to be able to attend live. So that is the only thing in that area. So those are the only alerts that you would receive by following. It will be videos, new sessions, or if you post, or you also have the ability, though, to post questions about these topics that were in the sessions, and also to @mention Stefan for additional info on the sessions themselves. As you can see on the screen, our next 2 meetings, we're taking, I think, 3 weeks until June 11th. The next session will be how to assemble implant simulation, and then 2 weeks after that, it will be how to dismantle implant simulation. So if you're interested in either of those sessions, you can click there now to register in advance, which will be great. And other just FYI information, as many of you probably know, in less than 2 weeks, we will be in Detroit for Realize Live, which is the 4-day digital transformation exhibition training conference that is designed for all of the Siemens software users. If you want to learn more about the event, you can click the link that is on this screen. Stefan will be presenting there, doing a breakout session, and also doing a session in the community corner for us, similar to today. Let's see, got a thumbs up there, which is good. And it seems like people had more time to think of questions. So there are a few more in the chat. Are you able to read them out, Stefan, or I can
Yes,
read it?
yes.
Okay, so Luis had one and then Ramesh.
Okay. Why do we need to create a user-defined attribute for showing charge instead of using the already existing but charge attributes? Yes, the possibility to show the attribute value on the MU, it's until now only available for user-defined attributes. You cannot show built-in attributes until now. It's replacing the 2D display panel, if you notice. But here it's okay. This is now a function of the user-defined attributes. Here, it's not available for all attributes, only for user-defined attributes. And this show in 3D and display show externally, it's only available for user-defined attributes until now. Maybe this changed in the future versions. If we have separate charging stations, so all the HEV need to move there and charge. Yes, this is something you need to create. It's you need power there, and you need and only if the HEV is stopping there, then it gets charged. Yes, and you can place several of these charging points in your on your track. But this is one of the challenge to have enough stopping times for each HEV to charge the HEV in a necessary, to charge each HEV. And if we have some more flexible production orders, then you need to find stations where most of the HEVs are stopping. Otherwise, they will not be charged. And so we need to run out of this loop and then charge externally. But normally, you don't have these possibilities in such kind of production environments. it's not it's not a method, but charge. If you see, you charge the battery with an attribute, not a method, and so you don't have the possibility to hand over a time. So you have to charge, and if you don't set this but charge to false, then it charges until the battery is completely charged. But there's no way to hand over to this attribute a time. Okay, is it possible to simulate charging tracks? Yes, but this is quite inaccurate because if you charging the battery, you don't have a consumption, and so you need to calculate this consumption during driving in your charging current. But it's possible. Just try it out. Can we create a station that produces multiple parts from one single part? For example, a cutting machine. Yes, this is the overnext session. You can do this with a dismantling station, but you can also do this with SimTalk. But you need a station with enough capacity. If you have, for instance, a single station and you want to cut this part maybe into 10 parts, then you need an element in Blend Simulation that can hold 10 parts. And so you need to combine, for instance, a single station with a buffer. But then you can do this, yes, without any problems. Yes, and if we have separate charging stations, yes, all the HEVs need to move there. You can use the charging control, the battery tab here to create a control and set, for instance, a destination to the charging station. And then if you activated the routing, then the HEV finds the way to the charging station. And in the charging station, you need to have a control to set but charging to true and to false if you have certain time.
We're getting a lot of thumbs up and some applause, which is good. As a reminder, is where the recording will be posted. There's also a link on this screen to Stefan's profile in the community, which gives you his contact information as well for other services that he's able to do. But yeah, definitely go to the forums. Okay, it looks like it. Well, if any of you will be at Realize Live in Detroit or in Amsterdam, please make sure to stop by. But Detroit is coming up next. Stop by the community corner. That's where I'll be. And you can find Stefan in the agenda. His sessions are listed there in the event agenda. So add them to your personal schedule. And we'll see you all back here in 3 weeks.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.